What's up, guys? Welcome. Today is the part two of the building a one version of it, but it's on mobile. So I decided to build it. So yesterday we decided to do two things: to fork the repo first of all by going to the Radix repository, which is the themes, which is one I wanted. And so we forked this repo, which was what we did yesterday. Forked one of them. So we created two versions, right? One for one AI, one of my AI agents, the other one for the other AI agent, basically. So we decided to go with that approach. So that way we have two AI agent implementations. So basically Steve I coded. But the point is I said I was going to like step in whenever I feel like the AI couldn't really continue to implement the stuff as I expected it to work. So that was the plan. So yeah, just to get into it, not to waste time at all. The idea now is to see what I've done so far. So earlier today I started with this and I gave the AI to start doing stuff. So remember yesterday also we created a plan for it. We didn't just start. We created a plan. We had the plan. So what was the intention? Convert the original repository style system, the CSS, every single thing makes it what it is, convert it to the native version of it, like Radix native version. That was the idea. And that was the plan we had, and it worked well. We created a plan, the MD, we did everything that was supposed to be done. So two projects. So far so good. I've been able to create from phase one to phase 11. So they are currently, if I'm not mistaken, about 13 phases. I'm not entirely sure, but this is it. They're about 13, yeah, there are 13 phases or 12. The 13th one is, and so far so good. I've done, so I don't know if this works. I've tested it. Just vibe coding the creation, just telling AI, okay, you are done with this, proceed to the next one. So point to note is that you can't just expect AI to walk through this from phase one to 11. It doesn't work that way. So that's why we break it into phases. So we tell it tackle phase one. Once you are done, proceed to phase two. And that way we are giving it context of the previous phases. So it knows what to work with. So it's not just working abstractly. That's the idea. So that's how we prompt AI to get stuff done for you. So the idea was, okay, begin this implementation, implement phase one, the foundation and the setup, implement the setup first, which it did. Well, I'm not sold on the setup. The setup is buggy. I know I've not gotten there yet. So I wanted it to have all the components interacted and everything. So what I want you to do now is phase 12. Like I said, we are going to test this, but I don't want to implement phase 12 here because testing it is going to cause a lot of breaking things to be fixed. But before we get to the testing aspect and enter the whole world of testing and breaking and fixing, I want us to work on something else, which is the documentation. No, not the documentation. So I want us to fix the build issues. Like I said, it's not going to work from phase one. I already saw the foundational setup, but it was terrible. So let me show you what I mean by that. So one of the things he did, let me walk you through the apps. So the first thing we had yesterday, as at the one we forked from WorkOS, which is the Radix repository itself, contained this folder. I didn't create a separate folder, still the same folder. And it contained the apps directory with the playground. The playground is what you see here. Let me just give you a bit of context for those that might not be here yesterday. So the playground is what you see. Not this. So if I go here, you see this playground here, that is what I see. This is the playground at the side, this one. So this playground allow me to test the entire components that exist and their colors, their sizes, their weights, blah, 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 all of this. Of course, I don't want to have to do this. I don't need to implement all of this. This gives me a view of how it should work. And of course, we know we are not going to implement the entire thing because we don't want to create the buttons that look this way or basically the idea is you should make it as close as possible to Radix. So this is the playground. So the playground already existed. So what he did was to create a playground native that gives me the native feel of testing all the components. And testing all the components requires me to test all the component variants, just the same way I have things like the badges, where I have the solid, soft, surface, and outline variants in terms of like the accent and stuff. It might not be as comprehensive as this, just something lean that I can test, see if it works. That's the idea. So that was the intention, and that was what we wanted to create. So which we started, and that was cool. It was working fine. So the next thing was supposed to be what now? The next thing was supposed to be the Okay, so after creating the directory for the playground native, that means he created it as an expo project, which he did perfectly well. So he created this project like this. He created the app, the normal stuff, nothing too crazy. Then he created the app.json, blah blah blah. So he didn't use like a the expo command to create it. It just normal stuff, vibe coding stuff. It just vibe coded the entire thing. So that was created, which is where the playground native, where I'm going to test the app to see if it works. I've already created phase 1 to 11, right? So most of the components are already done complete. So the next thing to see is to check the packages that I created. So the packages that came with it, let me show you guys from here. So to just look at, I'm trying to say this. So if you look at the Radix themes, which is this is the one we forked, right? So you see that there's an apps playground by default. There's a packages Radix UI themes. Those are the two main directories aside from VS Code and GitHub. So in our own case too, we have the same thing, packages Radix UI themes, but it added three more folders. Like I said, this is vibe coded. I didn't create it. So it added three more folders: the Radix UI primitives native, the Radix UI tokens native, and the Radix UI themes native. So everything you see native within this package was created by AI, and that is where all our components are. So one thing to note is that the reason why this was created this way, or let me say the why, basically, is because we needed the Radix UI themes, which contains some other functionalities. Okay, let me point it out from here. So if I go to this place and I go to the Radix UI themes from here, let me just and I go to the source. The source here contains something called the tokens. If you go to the helpers again, I think not the helpers components, right? The components will give you all of these components, but one of them gives you the tokens. Not okay, yeah. So we have the style tokens here, and then we have the style utilities. So the style tokens basically are just like the actual stuffs we need, like it's just a way of giving you the definitions of the styles, and then importing it from the base or CSS, like just like you have the base or the default export, right? So you see what is happening here is just a way of defining it. What you do, all the colors. I didn't give structure. So I didn't try stopping it. So crazy enough, it into different projects that I can install independently. I think that's a good idea. I've not really gone through it. So it has been vibe coding this and I left it to do its thing. Then we have the source and then we have the colors as you can see here. Same thing, we have the colors here inside the tokens, which is what you see here. The colors, then each of the CSS. So we have the colors, the index, the radius, shadow. So what it went to it was to just split all the stuffs for the designs, for the stuff, the styles, sorry for the stuff, split all the styles into different files. Like we have the colors. The colors are not complete. They are vaguely missing, like they're extremely missing, which I know. And the reason for this is, which I'm sure of, is because not supposed to be able to use the Radix UI colors library. I'm not sure. I haven't tested it. It might work, it might fail. As I said, let's try to fix it. So the idea of this is to be able to fix this, right? Yeah, if I'm coding it, see what we can bring out of it. It might work, it might not work. I might have to step in and do a lot of like maybe 4 hours of work, 8 hours of debugging to get it to work. I don't know how long it's going to take. I've not done the whole stuff yet. But we can see this here. The colors are defined, the radius are defined in terms of just defining how it was. Now this, I don't know why it's doing it this way, because even though it's like this, okay, fine, this is cool because it's well defined. It can't be constant. It needs to be dynamic enough and it needs to have like a defined default and also the variant. Let me call it variant in this case. So this is what is in tokens, right? Nothing crazy. Then the scripts. The scripts are just very much copied from what you have here in the script here. What was just doing here was just using the same CJS and just like copying it directly. We doesn't make application. This is bound to. We know it might not. It won't work for this. What we were supposed to do was create a which will cause it to work, obviously. But this was going to fail. But it's the same thing. We are asking it to migrate. Right? Migration is fine. So it did the same thing for CJS and ESM, which you can see here. Nothing too crazy, nothing too different, normal stuff. So that's the understanding the AI has have for this. So I was able to do this. One thing to notice, I know I said you were going to do two implementations of this. That was the idea. Make two implementations of this same project. So the first one was to use Radix UI Native, and then the second was Radix UI Native Kilo. Those are the two projects that you have this. So in this case, that means that means the first one I'm just explaining now is one of the AIs. The other AI has not even started at all. I wanted to blend both of them, but I didn't have enough time to monitor both. So I just left one running and tackled that one when it was done and stuff. So if you have enough time, I'll start with the second one today and see the changes that one can make. If this one gives me enough issues, I'll just project to the second one, implement the second one, start with the plan, complete the plan. It shouldn't take that long to. Yeah, I might even start it now. In fact, let me do that in the background now rather than waiting for this. So I'm going to go back to the second project, which is the native Kilo. So like I said, I'm using Client, I'm using Kilo for these two projects. So one is running the client agents, the extension, I'm say the plugin with the a client agent running, and I'm using a free model. So don't expect it to be perfect. But then that was I said I was going to come in, fix it. Then I'm using the Kilo plugin also with its own agents, which is free. It has free models available, which I'm using one of them also. But they are very good models. I've used them for a lot of those other stuffs and they work perfectly well. So now this is the plan we have for this. So what I'm just going to do is to go here and say I want this to work in the background, right? I don't want it to just be here not doing it. So I'm going to select between the free models I have available. So I have Minimax 2.1 free, which Kilo gives to you for free, at least for now. Then we have GLM 4.7, we have Moonshot AI, which is the Kimike 2 AI, the latest one that came out just a week ago. And then we have the Giga Potato. I've used this a bit, I've used this a bit. I've not really used them more. So let's test it out. Now, in this case, I have a lot of good models to choose from here. So I'm going to just go using Minimax 2.1 and if it fails, other one should be able to pick it up. But in this case, if I'm to go by actual, I don't think I want to go through that. If I'm to go by actual, should I say ratings or actual, what's the word now? I'm thinking of the word to use to show how well they perform, right? Uh, Kimi K2 is like the best because it's the latest, it's the only 2026 model that we have currently, and it's still extensively new in terms of like performance and the analysis. It's still like the best for open weight model that we have. But I'm not going to go with that. I've used Minimax 2.0 before. I know how proficient that was. I've not used any Kimi K2 model before. So I've used GLM 4.6. I know 4.7 is a significant increase. So, and I know 4.6 is what generated all of this that I'm showing to you guys, the one I'm explaining now. So 4.7 should be able to do a better job, but this is not comparing Kimi K2 or GLM. I want to use the model I know and I trust could do the job. Minimax is a model that is quite fast and is able to do what you ask of it. But when it gets to some difficult tasks, it can misbehave, it can generate. In terms of handling tools, it's not really efficient. I've had experiences where it tends to generate files, gets confused, adding files, replacing files, and generates some craziness to your file and that you don't even need, and it breaks the entire thing. But for this use case, since it's creating from scratch and not working on an existing repo, I trust it to be fast enough with it. And if it fails, switch model entirely. That will be the rule for this project. So I'm going to say, okay, so quick one. We already have no, I'm just going to do this. Yesterday, when I started with this, I had this here with the Kilo itself. I had like an history with this project, which I would have loved to use. Why is it not displayed here? Don't tell me you don't have any of those things available. Wow. All right, so it seems I've lost all my history. If I go back to the code, I just wanted to like use this to check to see if I could get any of the free tasks. Apparently, all my history stored is gone. That's so annoying. I don't know how that happened, but whatever it is that caused it. Okay, I think I optimized my laptop yesterday. It was running a bit low on memory, so I had to do some cleanups. Okay, that's fine. So we just tell you that using plan dot conversion blah 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 blah. I want to implement all the phases. Can you undo this? So I'll just ask this. Now let me come back to this explanation. So I've explained the tokens, right? It just contains the basic stuff we need. The other important thing to note here is the themes. Now there's a bit of let me say similarities, right? It's not too far-fetched, not too different between what you have here for the native. Why are you what's happening here? Okay, so let me close this. I don't want to use DR currently. So I'm closing this also. All right. So why I have the Radix themes native repository, there's a bit of similarity between this and this if you consider it, right? This defines the colors and stuff. These also have things like the helpers, and then you have the styles, then you have things like the themes, then you have things like the tokens again. which is now importing from the token native because it's taking it as a separate library that is installable. So, right, you can see the whole context breach and everything. So, in this case, this works. But now, let me show you what smooth is. You can see it's a lot of red. There's a reason why it is red because some things are not imported, installed. I've definitely not installed anything. The Radix token native, fetching it and using it totally fails, doesn't work. We have the index here, which is fine. We have a lot of things, right? So there's a lot of stuff that we don't need. There's a lot of stuff that we need. There's a lot of, but the component is what I want to show you guys. So the component exists. All the components that we need have been created. It might not be perfect yet. You can see all of them have red. I think the only one without red there is the in. Okay, even the index is red. So, but okay, visually it doesn't have that red line. But if you look at Radix from what we wanted to show from Radix here, if I go back to the primitives, the documentation itself, you see we have all of these components, right? We have the alert dialog, aspect ratio, avatar, this, all of this down to tooltip is also available here. So we've done a good job. AI has done a good job. I didn't work on it, so but I believe it should be working fine, but not entirely sure. So these are the components and they are well defined. So what's the next thing to do? So we still see that there's a bit of script, the build script and stuff, which is obviously not going to be there. Then the last thing to show you guys is the primitives. So remember we said we are creating three things. They wanted to create the themes. So he went ahead and did an extra thing by adding the accessibility use case, right? Which basically is just a context that was defined for it. And then the index of the accessibility itself, which I don't know why that has been imported. Does it exist? Okay, add missing from here. So I can just import this directly. So like I said, a lot of imports are missing, which was not added, which we needed to add, but it's not even used. So there's no point having it here. It's just chaotic. So this is the result I have from vibe coding that an existing repository and telling it to fix the repository by creating a new one. Now, why the other project is going through this and say, oh yes, we can do this. I want to use orchestrator mode because it's a complex multi-phase project requiring 6 phases spanning 2 weeks. Orchestrator mode is best suited for managing such complex coordinated implementation, multiple subtasks and sub-dependencies. Well, I don't really know if it's going to be able to use it. I don't mind if you can use orchestration mode to get it done, but I don't expect it to do it in one go. But one thing I understand Kilo to be good at is to be able to create subtask and tend to be able to, let me use the word merge subtask also. It's more like it uses a very good detailed version control system. That's the way it works. Just like Git, it does the whole merge, the whole parent, child, subdirectory stuff. It's very good at it. I can tell you to create a subtask now. You create a subtask. When it is done, it sends the result of the subtask back to the parent of the subtask and then proceed from there. It's extremely good at that. Client is not good at that. So you need to carefully manage. So if you can do this, that will be very impressive. So first thing I'm going to do here is two things. We have one version file. Okay, first thing first, I need to go and add this to git ignore. This be chaotic if I don't do that. Okay, so we have all of this added to git ignore already. So I'm going to add specific files. I'm going to add or else the VS Code. VS Code was there before, so I'm not adding that to it. Let's see what else we have here. So we have the unvision file, which was that, and then we have this, which I don't want this to be here. I don't know why it's there, but that's fine. So we have those two files, right? I'm going to close this. So I'm going to allow you to do what it wants to do. It knows that it's a very complex thing to do. It wants to create it in this form: primitives, layout, typography, forms, kind of like the way it is organized here. So I won't stop it. Like I said, it's vibe coded. This is the AI making the decisions. I can come in later on and make decisions and fixes and some cleanups, which definitely I'll make some cleanups to it. But for now, let's just do this thing. So while this is executing, I'll go to the first one, which is this main one. Clean this up, get it to build by giving it instructions. It's still vibe coded. Not for me, this is not my own time to make fixes. I'll probably make fixes not on the call, not to bore you guys, but to see what is happening. You guys will see it, you see the responses, you see the resolutions, see the results, and then we can work with that. So the next thing to see is we have this recommended approach here saying that I need to switch to orchestrator mode, create list, break down each phase into actionable tasks, execute incrementally, which is I need, complete the phase one before moving to phase two. So like I said, Kilo is good at breaking tasks down. Like so I'm saying, okay, fine, break this into multiple tasks and dependencies. So I'll allow you to do is this guy is good at it, and the model I'm using, I believe, is quite better than what I used for this one because Minimax 2.1 is quite is better, far better than what I have here in 4.6. So that is it. So we're done with that. So the next thing to do here is all right. So I really don't want this lag. Do not lag. Don't try that with me. All right. Yeah. Okay. So this is orchestrating. So I'll allow this to do its thing. I'm not even going to go there. Just like I said, it's good with subtask. Let it down to the task itself. So I'm going to go back here and try fixing this. Let's resolve this issue here. So the first thing I want to come on. So the first thing I want to do is now that we have the primitives and we have the themes native folder, which contains all the components. That means it has successfully created all the components we need, all of them. So now let's try getting it to run. Uh, to, uh, so I'm here, like my two desktops. Okay, so this will keep to me, I think, except if I minimize it, should this interrupt me now? It shouldn't. Okay, so I think that's the cheat. All right, so I'm just going to allow you to do this thing, but then we still get this to rock. Okay. When I'm doing this, I'll not make it work like this. I'll just make it small since I'm not interacting with it, and I'm reduce this so it won't be full screen. So that way it's not really getting affected. Come on. Man, I hate this new Apple update I did. Really detest this. Laptop slows down anyhow these days. Okay. You know what? Let me just get this out of the way. Let me get this to be minimized a bit. I'm probably going to start this again. I think I have everything I need here. To things I'm going to have simulator. I don't need it. So I'm just and I'm going to close the simulator at least for now until we can get the build to work. So closing the simulator because we are not running it. We are not testing. I tried testing it while it was working and then it was disastrous, like as expected. So I'm going to just slide off to close the simulator completely, stop the process. At least I'll regain some space. My Mac has been very awful for some time now. Just keeps taking everything I have, and I don't want that. So yeah, one thing to do next is I'm going to open the other project, right, which is the one with Klein, which is the one we want. You refuse to minimize now. Don't do that again. Ah, finally, that was all I wanted to do. So now this can run on its own process, and this can also run on its own process. You know what? I'm even going to just do this. You run like this, and you run like this. Oh, come on. Really? Left off screen. All right, so let's move it like this. No, I don't want full screen. Oh, no, don't full screen this one. Okay, so fine. I'm going to leave it this way. So two things. I'm going to minimize this. Why this is just very, very small, making its fixes by the side, not disturbing it with whatever it's kind of trying to do. So we are going to try fixing this one by the left side, which is the idea at this point. I hope this doesn't affect the view of what I'm trying to do here. Okay, so let's get this done. Let's go back to the AI. We are still coding 100%. So I'm going to say, okay, you, so, okay, first things first, I'm going to go back to the previous one and get it to create, since this notes that that's completed phase 1 to 11, I'm going to tell it to create a new task for me. The essence of creating a new task is so that it gives me the context of the previous one. Now, these are like very good secrets to getting the best of free AI models. So I'm creating a new task to get it to create like the context for what it has done so far. And I've used this method over like 6 different tasks, or 6 to 8 different tasks. Somehow I was able to merge into 2 different phases. So now I have like 6 to 8 different tasks that I've created using this. So the should so by now I should have good context for the next thing I'm going to work on. So using that context of what it has done all through like from phase 1 to phase 11, now I'm going to say, okay, now I need this to work so that I can test it. Currently, it's going to work. So that means it is definitely going to fail. But how is it that I can use this so that if I import it or if I install it on like I want to test it on a mobile app, like the simulator I just closed, will it work? Is it going to work? Now, I don't trust it to get this done 100%. Like, I am very skeptical if it's not going to work. I know it's not going to, but whatever it's able to do, we use that. Then I trust the second one, which I'm creating now, to do a better job than this first one. But let's see what happens, right? So once it's done creating the task, while that is happening, I'm going to minimize this. I'm going to go here. I'm going to create an actual branch for this. Since I'm not pushing this, I'm just going to create a branch for it. I'm not pushing, I'm not doing anything until everything is resolved. So I'll create a branch and say mobile. No, let me say Radix UI native V1. I'm just going to go on V1 phase happy. All right, so I'm going to say view very okay. Uh, I'm just going to leave it like this. Nothing much. It actually changed something cool. I think I forgot to mention that it made some changes on the Tubo. Like I said, we're not supposed to use Tubo like this because it knows that it should know that this is a mobile application. So we can't use anything on Tubo because it's not going to work. We're sticking with the Metro and the other stores that we need. The Metro, the Babel config, like the other tools use, like native Windows, unique Windows, every other style library does. But for some reason, he never mentioned it. So I'm not going to tamper with that. What I'm just going to say is that, okay, now that you've done this, which means I'm going to leave all of this. I'm just going to add your version files because it's a lot. I need to also update the gitignore file with this. No, this, and then I will tell you to do this. I'll say update. No, you know what? There's no need for this. I'm just going to use this. So it's going to automatically remove that from. So it's going to remove that from here. So now if I check this again, I should see 106. It should remove some of the idea of my ID's configurations that I don't need to push. I don't want to push it. So what I'm going to do now is that all of these things that exist here, with the changes that have been done, I'm going to push all of them, right? So I'm just going to like commit them, not pushing anywhere, just committing it. So I'm going to add this to VCS automatically. I'm going to add the git ignore. I'm going to restrict this package.json files. I don't. Okay, yeah. So I'm going to restrict all of the package.json file. I do not need. Let me see if I can get that. Yeah. Package.json. Yeah. So this is it. So I'm going to restrict. I don't want to tamper with the actual package.json file because it's not needed, even though it is there. So I can turbo, but then it's going to fail. So no funny thing is I'm just going to commit all of this. I know I'm still going to make changes eventually because I'm not trying to fix the web version. So I'm going to, you know what, I'm not going to push that. I'm going to remove the package.json, which is the default package.json, and I'm not going to push that. So every other one, I'm going to just commit them 100%. So I'm just going to commit this, generate a commit message. Okay, that's fine. So let's generate a commit message for it. It might be too much to generate a commit message for. So it's a lot of files. This one has 6 files. Adding the commit message might not be the best approach or the best idea. So that's definitely not going to work as expected, which is understandable. So the next thing to do here is I'm going to, yeah, terrible commit message. You know what? Let me use this. All right, so let's do this. Let's see, this one is still firing on. Should work. I don't know. I've not tried it yet, but it should. I'm really hoping this should be able to fix everything. So this is even worse, a worse commit message. But you know what? I'm going to leave it this way. I prefer this. So I'm going to commit all of those changes. So now, whatever I know, it has created all the components and all the stuffs that is needed. I don't expect it to mess up them all those changes anymore. So now I can track if it makes any weird changes to them. I know it's not going to work yet. So now back to our client. Next thing to do is start task with new context. I know it's not going to fix anything because I'm not told it anything. I'm just getting the context from the previous file. I'm telling the new task to understand what has been done before I tell it what I want to do, which is very important. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to type and say, okay, now that all the phases have been implemented, I want to test the so I want to test the mobile, the package native, right? Which is expected. I want to test the package native implementation. Oh no, no, the playground rather. Playground native app. But it fails because the native implementations you made to this project doesn't will not, let me use the will as capital letter, not work for mobile. For example, I strongly believe that Turbo doesn't work for mobile, but for web. So that's not usable. And some other quirks that exist in the native implementations that will not allow the code, the new components to be usable. Oh no, 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 no. Oh no, what did I just type? Oh no. All right, I've removed it. Yeah, still another one to be usable. So I'm going to just send this to it. It's still analyzing the code base. I use 26.5k tokens, which is fine. It uses a lot of tokens. This particular one exactly, it's power token hungry. This one has been going for how many minutes, and it's still on 72.27k. This understanding my context is using 26 already. That's crazy. But this has been using it with context, with the whole code implemented and everything. Still 72.7k. Very efficient, much more efficient than GLM 4.6. GLM is a very hungry token. I don't know about 4.7. I've not used 4.7, but 4.6 that I know about is just extremely power hungry. Okay, so enough of that. Let's just rather than implementing this, the test, I'm not implementing test yet until I'm sure it understands what it needs to do. So I'm going to give it all of this that I want it to. I know Turbo is like a failed implementation. The entire script it added here does not really make sense because why you don't need all of this, including and some other tools. For instance, like I'm going to link, you know what, I'm just making me suggestions. And if it doesn't point to this, I'm going to also add this to it because this clearly will not work. For Node, we are bundling for nah, definitely not. So all of these will fail. So the idea is to get it to be able to work without using this. So you say, I understand the issue now. You're absolutely right. The current implementation has fundamental problems. Um, that prevent it from working in React Native environments. Looking at the Playground app and the current implementation, I can see several issues. The Turbo build system incompatibility is designed for web and Node.js, not React Native, obviously. React Native uses Metro bundler, not the Turbo, yes. The build script and monorepo setup won't work for mobile exactly. Like, then finally understand. So it needs to find a way to remove all of those things. So that's what I wanted to tell it without telling it. You get the point. So this is the way I prompt my AI to do stuff for me. I don't want to give it all the information, but then I lead it on the right path because there are things I can do myself, but I know implementing it myself is going to take time, effort, and a lot of thinking. So let it do the hard part for me of creating the bulky stuff. So rather than me writing 1,075 lines of code, AI can do it in 10 seconds. I would take probably a whole day to implement that kind of thing. Or if not a whole day, maybe hours to do that. So it's a very, very easy way of doing stuff. So if you write it for me, I go through it if I have to, based on what I've seen, and then I make fixes. Have to create component, modularize it, write the logic and stuff. But that's the idea, and that's how you use AI in most cases. So two things: the current issue identified, you identified that we can't use Togo, which is extremely important. We can't use Togo because it's not for native but for web. So we need to remove that out of the picture. The second thing here is the build script also will not work for the monorepo setup, will work for mobile development, which is extremely correct. So the import export structure problem, it has a lot of issues. It's trying to import from the Radix UI themes native, which does not also work because we need to set up that package structure. So it already identifies that. It identified the build process also, which will not work. So we need to find a way to make it work for Metro, which is exactly what I wanted it to do. So if I was writing this, I would write the entire component, use the entire colors, manipulate all of them, modify them for what I need to do, then get it to fix the build issues for me. That was his whole job, and it failed at it though. But it worked at other things, which is good. So the next thing is component implementation issues. Many components likely have a specific APIs or assumptions, which we'll come to later on. Like at least there are some things that work for now, which we shouldn't really bother about. So some component may be using browser specific features. We'll get to that eventually. So how do we fix this? It says instead of proceeding with phase 12, we need to fix the fundamental issues, which exactly what I wanted. So mobile compatibility fix build systems, remove turbo days for this, set up proper Metro configuration for the monorepo, configure Metro to resolve workspace dependencies correctly, update package or JSON script for React Native development, fix the package structure. So that's exactly what I want. So two things I'm going to say is yes. So I'm going to say yes, skip phase 12 or for now until all build mobile compatibility issues are resolved. That's what I wanted to do. So once this is done, I'm going to just give you like one. So I'm going to say one, yes, do this. Two, restructure the project to properly support React Native development with I'm going to say, okay, so this is what I want to give to it. It needs to understand that this is a project that contains a project I do also need. For instance, this here is the actual web version, but it's trying to make use of the mobile version. So it needs to create a way to allow the mobile version be on and use that significantly without issues. So that's what I need you to do. So I'm going to say, here's what I need you to do. Oh no, I've made a mistake here. Oh no, 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 no. Okay, that didn't affect it. Still writing. Here's what I need you to do. Okay. So this is writing 1,800 lines of code at once. That is very impressive. And I can hardly see any red here for now, which is actually cool. Very, very cool. Like I said, I expected this to do better, but I had to use this first. Don't blame me, please. So the next thing is what I need you to do. So what I need you to do now is to I don't know if this is still writing. I don't want to tamper with what he's working on. So here's what I need you to do. This project contains. I'm trying not to like mess it up. Okay, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to go to somewhere else to try to write it. Hopefully that doesn't step on my face. I'm going to get another place to write this. So I'm going to go back to this. I'm going to write it here. So here's what I need you to do. This project contains the actual Radix UI themes that you migrated to work with React Native. What I would love you to do is to have the the Radix UI native implementation alongside the web, but having its own configurations, build scripts, build configurations without uh, without what's the word to use? I don't want to use some. I'm trying to be careful with the word I use. Without what's the word to use? So I wanted to use what I'm trying to say is I wanted to use to create his own native implementation inside the repository without to mess up with tamper without tampering with the Radix UI implementations library. Let me use that word. Can do this. So I'm going to copy this. I'm going to paste here, and I'm going to say this is what I need you to do. So one for now, which is the stuff he's trying to, is also suggest for me. I say skip phase 12 and do this, restructure the project to properly use this, fix the component implementation to work, set up a working environment that can, okay, yeah. So I think this does it. I'm going to say yes. So I'm going to give it this as back as input. So let's see what this is doing from the other side. It says, uh, I hope you're not hanging yet. Okay. Oh no. Did you freeze? Okay, yeah, it's still working. So now I'll create, okay, yeah, it's still working. All right, yeah, I wanted to be sure it's still working. So I'm having the very looks, I've not seen any red so far here. And like I said, it works best when, especially the Minimax model, they work best when you don't need them to like fix existing projects. Minimax is one of the fastest ones I've used. It works a lot. Minimax, I think Grok 5, Grok 4 rather, works a whole lot more too. Which other one? I think those two very fast model. There's one other one I'm trying to remember. I used it, so it was available for free, and I used that for free too, and it was cool. Of course, I didn't pay for that one, but it was free, so I tested it. It worked. I didn't use it for long. I think it was removed after a bit, but it was extremely fast. All right, so this is what it's saying now. After prompting that, it says, what's the next thing? Yes, I can absolutely do that. I understand what you need. A separate, independent Radix UI native implementation that coexist alongside the web version. And to charge my phone. That coexist alongside the web version without interfering with it. This is actually the best approach for maintaining both implementations properly. So if you knew, why didn't you implement the best approach? Like, I struggle to understand why AI will tell me this is the best approach, and then you skip the best approach, and then you implement it anyhow for me. And then when I say no, I don't like this, then you say, oh yes, that's the best approach. Why didn't you implement the best approach? I, I don't know. So implementation plan, dual architecture structure setup, side by side architecture where Radix UI themes, the original web is untouched. The package for the other one, independent, has to come in place. So we need to have those two, right? Which is currently what we have, but like you can see here, yeah. So, but it needs to move it into, I want it to combine all of them into one. So I don't need to install separate libraries. If I want to use this in an external project and I move it to NPM, I don't want you to have to install three things. Install one, let the one have all the three things that I need, even if I'm going to port it to different implementations, like the icons and the colors eventually. But that's not the plan for now. The plan is just to make it work once because that's what I want. I want everything to come in the mobile ones because it should be used that way. That's the focus. So independent reality implementation, have this. So key changes needed, independent build systems. So the web still retains using the Turbo. Like I said from the beginning, we can't use Turbo for that. We need Metro and Babel for whatever use case. Babel also is used for if you are using Tailwind CSS, so we need that to be configured as well. So we need to do that. Package or JSON separation, we need that too also. Workspaces configuration, object turbo.json to exclude native packages from the build, development workflow, blah, 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 blah. Okay, so build settings, update turbo, yes. Create native review system, yes. Package structure fix the dependencies, export structure. audit component, test component, script separation, which is what we needed. Also, the separate CI/CD pipeline. We're not going for that yet until we have it fixed. Then we talk about that. Benefit of this approach: clean separation. This is this. So, do you want to start implementing this? Two things that will make me start. Okay, I still have enough time before it gets to 202. 202 is like the minimum input token, the maximum input token rather. So, I've noticed that when it gets to a bit of like 120, even 120, even 100, it tends to hallucinate a lot. So I still have 43. The moment it crosses the 90 threshold for me, it's going off, automatically going off a new task. Best practices to if you're using AI. So let's start with this. I will tell you to start with this. But before doing that, I want you to write it as a plan, right? Because it's useful. It can follow that alongside. So I'm just going to create a new plan here and call it create a new file and call it um, dual architecture. So I'm going to call it dual architecture setup.md, right? So that is where it's going to write it. So I'll say write the implementation plan in dual architecture setup so that I and other LLMs can know what has been implemented and what has not been implemented. So that way I can track what it is, have it in phases. So it's going to write like, oh, I want to do this, 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 I want to do this. It's just going to track it. Like it's going to list them for me. I'm going to track it and probably pass it to other LLMs too to be able to implement it if it's a bit too difficult task for you to work on. So that's what I'm expecting it to do. So far so good. We have this looking better. To me, it looks a bit better in terms of the way it's creating the stuff. Like for instance, you see RN activity indicator. It simply means you understand what it's doing here. So things like if I'm not mistaken, this is implementing the spinner or something. I don't know. I've not checked through it, but I can see it implementing stuff that works. Like the view, pressable. Okay, why is it having pressable again? Do I need pressable? I'm expecting to create a button for me. Whatever it is creating, we'll check it out later and we'll fix it. I understand that it might not be extremely what I want, but we can always modify it. So we have one thing I've seen here is the team provider too. So the teams provider, it's a bit cool. Reason is because Radix also has a team provider. So I'm assuming that's the same thing it's trying to do. Then the utils, I just import the hooks. Okay. The app.tsx hasn't changed. Okay, so what we see here is that it's creating like a way of you using it. You can see button RN, which is the variant of classic. Oh wow, that's cool. So it's and okay, so I like this. I like the fact that it's able to differentiate between it. So what we need to do is if this works, which I doubt is going to work, and the reason it's not going to work is very simple. Okay, let's see the approach is all in for. I think I'm going to wait why this is creating this. So it says I'll create a plan for this, serve as this. So I'll say yes, just write it. So why this is implementing all of this? Let's check through this one to see what is happening. So the first thing I notice here is okay, see on phase two. And if I'm not mistaken, we are going to like phase 7 or 8. Okay, that's cool. Yeah, I'm just going to leave it to continue. So after phase 2, I'm sure it goes to phase 3 and it creates new task consecutively, which, like I said, Kilo is good at task management. Like, he's extremely efficient at tasks. Subtask, it's so good at it. So I'm going to allow it to do this thing. I'm not going to stop it or even interfere. So I'll come back to this once it is done. Thing I want to point out is the fact that it created the playground native as well, also the same way the previous one did it. And what it did was it didn't just create playground native. It did it as an expo app also, just the same one did it. And then the package also, but this is a bit cleaner. If you look at, there are no 3 folders. You just use the same folder name but added native to it. This is exactly what I'm telling the previous one to now work on and make it exactly like this. So looking at the code, I've not gone through it, but let's go through it together and see. The script is still the same thing. So what he did was just use the same script like the build script, which is still wrong. It's not going to work. You know it's not going to work. We've established that now, right? So that's not going to work. So the only thing we see next is we see the component. which means it's modeling it with the way he wants to create it. But if you look at, for instance, the box props, you can see that this looks cool. It has the radius, it has the flex, because obviously it's going to be a view to that's just been customized to look like a box, or to have a name of a box. As you can see, it's using all the props, box props, which why she's okay. This is using like the view props, not unknown, but that's fine. I'm not going to tamper or stop it from doing what it's doing. So we are going to come back to this later on. So this is what I'm going to do. Let it stop. Let's continue with this thing. Is this guy done with the documentation? Okay, he's still writing the documentation. So you can see this is quite slow. This is almost done with phase one, two, three, and still not even, we've not even started what we want to do today with this one. So I've been trying to get phase one to 11 to work has been me prompting it, checking what it's doing, telling it, oh, use this approach, do it this way to get it here. And this is just one prompt. Now you see the difference. So LLMs are getting better. I think I just have to say that yes, they are getting way better than they were before. They are not there yet. They are extremely not there yet, but you can be sure that yes, these guys are getting better. I mean the LLMs now. So this is me using side by side. So if you're just joining, this is me having side by side two different LLMs trying to build the same thing. So what I'm doing here is I'm converting Radix, the web one, the web version, into a native implementation of it, porting all the components. Now, if I was doing this myself, it should have taken like 6 months. And I'm sure it will even drain me because I have to remember everything and I can't dedicate every time to it. But if I was doing that probably alone, it would take more than that. Collaborating with others, it should be faster, take like 4 months at the end of the day. So this is so at the left here is the implementation we started yesterday that required us to like implement everything. But this in this case we are using Klein as our LLM engine, or let me say the plugin that is implementing the ports or the migration. The other one here is using Kilo Code, which is working with the migration. So in this case, this is I think this is just totally okay, it's still working. So it's just very, very slow to make stuff work, as you can see. So what I'm trying to do now is initially it did some stupid things, but now we are trying to resolve it, right? That's the plan. So let's wait for it to be done with all of this stupidity of trying to get it to work. That is not working yet. We'll get that done eventually. We'll try to fix it. So at the end of the day, AI is just the same way as our computer has ever been. Garbage in, garbage out. No change, no difference. Is that crazy? But I think I'm liking this one. I love the fact that it's able to understand the deep context of what I was trying to create, and the way I see it, the comments. It's. I was thinking I'll have to do this myself or put it to implement and add those things itself and show everything is type safe. But what I'm looking at is quite nice. All right, so let's look at the dual architecture setup for this guy. It says for the architecture we need what is this? Okay, we need to update the tuber. So this is the tuber configuration that was existing that right from the GitHub repo. Let me show you. This is the tuber.json file. Yeah, this. If I'm not mistaken, there are two. I'm not entirely sure. It's been a while I went through this totally like this. But it's one of my best libraries to use ever. So yeah. All right. So this is another thing I wanted to use. The tuber is quite smaller than what I expected it to be. Then what was all of this? How did they add all of these things to it? That's so strange. Okay, so the tuber here, this is the tuber here, and what this one is showing me now, what this guy is showing me here is it needs to update the tuber configuration to use the build expo. But we just said we're not going to use build expo. We're not going to use tuber for mobile. We just established that. Okay, it's telling me to filter it out. Okay, now I understand. All right, so he's done with writing it and he just started working on it. So he's going to create metro configuration, which is exactly what I wanted to do. So he's going to create a metro configuration to work for mobile specifically. So this configuration is using first. Then we're going to try it out and convert it to his own library and then install it in another library, first of all. So I might not be able to cover that today. Definitely not. This is going to take a lot because we want to know if it's actually possible. So this is it happening live. I'm not manipulating anything, keeping up anything. This is it working on its own. So I'm going to leave it build for a while. I'm going to check on the other one, on the other AI. So the other is requesting for, okay, so the components are properly exported through the barrel export. Let me run the TypeScript build to verify everything compiles. Now this way I always have problem with AI first of all. The moment they build and everything fails, they lose context. Most of them, I don't know about this one, but fingers crossed, this doesn't lose context. Everything works fine still. Yeah, first things first. You should not even have the build ESM or the build JS. You should know that by now. So you need to make sure it doesn't work. So fine, just run the emit. We're going to fix this as well because we can't use. So I think one of the things I should have specified is it should use the Metro bundler from the beginning because I should tell it the configuration to use. I was not explicit. That was my fault. I understand, but you should be able to reason that that was not going to work for native. That's what a proper engineer would have done. All right, so that aside, AI is still AI. There's no difference. So I'm going to run this, and so none of the selected packages has a TSS script. So that means there's no issue with this. Okay. So like I said, build issues. Like build issues are stuff I'm trying to just prevent. Now it needs to install all the um, packages first for Expo. When it's done importing all the packages for Expo, is going to fail because the build stuff will not allow you to work properly because it won't be able to build. Then it's going to fail. It's going to run the emit. It's going to fail, and then hopefully it can continue. Just know what to do. But if it doesn't, I'm going to tell it not to run the build implementation and just proceed that way. So let's see. I think yeah, that makes sense. He skipped it already, which is what I want. So he said updated the to-do lists. Phase one, two, three. So he's done with one and two. It needs to complete three, four, five, and six. So we are still not done totally. So he's going to after completing this, he's going to go to phase three itself, which is what I'm expecting it to do. Let's see. Oh, nice. Please do that. Yes. So it's going to do that. As you can see, first thing he did was to give like a subtask result. This is what I was talking about. So this feature is very cool for Kilo Code. It knows how to manage subtask. So you can create tasks. Like I said, it's using the orchestrator, and that works well. I've not used the orchestrator before. This is the first time, but I like the way it works. So it's going to create phase three, start phase three on its own, and complete phase three. So it says context, you are working with this. So now you see what is happening because you need to generate context for all your LLMs to give them new information. Like because LLM, the way they work is like someone will say it's just LLMs are just autocomplete at the end of the day. They predict what's going to come next. So if you don't give them enough information, they can just assume it themselves. Or if they don't assume it themselves, they think of the best way. But my own experience with LLMs and AI is that they don't think of the best way to make things work for you. They just think of the way that's easy for them. LLMs always take the easy way out. Of course, you may think that they take the hard way because they tend to overdo stuff. No, the way I've seen LLM work is they tend to make things work the way that works for them, but in a way that might not really work for you. So they tend to overcomplicate the code, but take the easy way out. For instance, this telling me that, oh, yes, it's not going to work for this. You know that it's not best practice as an LLM, as something that should replace a junior engineer for me, but you still went ahead and did it. Not in terms of library, in terms of infrastructure, architectural changes. And that is definitely not going to make your code work. So if architecturally you've already messed up the whole project, then what are you trying to build? And AI should automatically know that you should make the best architectural predictions first. Inquire from me. That's what I expect. Okay, even if you don't know, I can't use ESM build for native. What do you suggest I use? Then I'll tell you, okay, use Metro to configure this. I will provide the build script or I will provide the configuration script. That's what I expect from LLMs. But no LLMs does that. To the best of my knowledge, I don't know if there's any. Maybe even Claude. I don't think Claude does that too. It's easy for LLMs to just go off rail and just do it the easy way out and then give you a bunch of bloated code that you don't need. That's the way I would realize they work. But I don't know if I'm wrong. If maybe any of you have seen them work separately well, please feel free to comment it down so I'll know. But yeah, while we're in the business of talking about this, if you are here, also consider subscribing so that there's a boost in morale on what I'm working on, right? So this takes a lot of time, but then I'm doing it because I feel like it's important for people to know we are in the AI world where we cannot detach ourselves from using AI, but And of course, a lot of people also marketing things like, oh, I one shorted this. And then you try the same thing and like, but it didn't work for me. So you need to understand what you are capable with AI and what is not capable. And the best way to use it, especially as an engineer, as a software engineer, you need to know. And that is where your own experience, your own knowledge now comes in. Because now imagine me telling this to port this and it's using ESM build from Turbo. Obviously, you know that that's not going to work because Turbo doesn't work on native. So first glance, you'd be like, okay, what's this nonsense? You just did rubbish. You need to fix it. So, and that is how it should be. So your experience is needed, your knowledge is needed. AI is not the shortcut. AI is just a tool, it's just a catalyst. Let me use that word. So that's basically it. So yeah, please consider subscribing and liking this. It takes a lot of effort, and I appreciate it as well. Okay, so while we wait, so both of them are working concurrently. So the work for this is like creating a new one. This by the left is trying to fix all the issues. So this one by the left has created all the packages, all the components that it needs. I've already gone through the 11 components, or let me say the 11 phases of the components, which means I've gone through all the implementations for that particular one. So that has completely, or let me say, I've been able to get it to generate all of these components from the alert dialog down to the tooltip, which I showed at the beginning of this video. So it has completely generated all of this, which is fine. So let me just show you from here. In fact, I forgot I have that here. So if you go to the themes, you see the source, you see the components, you can see all of them, right? So you can see that from the alert dialog, you can see alert dialog here down to tooltip. So it has done all of those. Another thing I added was accessibility, right? I told you accessibility is one thing you don't want to miss out on if you are generating production ready code, especially for front end. You want that to be top of your mind, or let me say front of your thoughts when you are building or orchestrating or architecting the flow. So I added a lot of accessibility features because by default, one of the things Redis gives you by default is strong accessibility. They don't joke with it. I think it's also at the beginning of this, right? Nope. It's not here, but I know they don't joke with it. Accessibility is important. Yeah, so I also added the accessible icons. Yeah, it's added this as well. So he added this, the portal, he added the portal, but it didn't quite work as I expected. I've not checked it much, but we need the React native portals for something like that to work. So he created something like that that was going to work. I think I can show you guys as well. So I saw that when it was creating, but I didn't really go through it to check it out. But it's here. I think there's a portal somewhere. Yeah, there's a portal here. So what it does is basically after the import, right? It creates a portal component for rendering content outside of the normal component tree. You know the way portal works in actual web, whereby you create a portal to be able to use it for things like sidebars, whereby it doesn't follow the render the tree structure that you already have configured for your project. So that way you can create a portal that allows you to create something else. Bottom shades use portals, your sidebars use portals, things like modals use portals, pop-ups use portals. So that's why you can configure them so that when they open up, the entire page freezes. That means it doesn't scroll or something. But you use portals to be able to create it outside of the normal tree that you're working with. So that is important. So that's why for anything you install, probably you're using things like Hero UI, you're using things like React reusables. The first thing you need to install to use things like Select has to be portals. If you do not create that, because this component you are creating are actually created in portals outside. And that's why you can create a select anywhere and you click it and it overlays on top of every other component, whether you like it or not. Same applies to bottom sheets, same applies to select, same applies to dialog, same applies to modals, same applies to pop-ups, same applies to all of those things. It's just portals. It's non-negotiable. So if you are working with stuff like that, we need the portals and then you need the slot. The slot in this case way of creating what I'm looking for. Uh can't remember, but then there's a word I'm looking for that's not coming right now. But I also created this slot for it here. If you check this, yeah, component composition. That's what I was looking for. So component composition is what I'm looking for. You can use it to compose more components for any other existing component or for new ones. Basically, it allows you to be able to create more stuff on that an existing component. There are things like slots when you go to like the DOM, either the HTML DOM, React DOM, there's slots by default. So you use that to like inject new stuffs into an existing component. So that's why I call it component composition. It's basically just a term. It just simply means you are adding new things to an existing thing, adding new element to an existing element, or adding existing, or let me say, configuring elements, adding new elements, updating the elements, configuring elements that already exist just to make them behave the way you want it to behave. A very popular framework that uses slot a lot is Vue.js. If you are familiar with Vue.js, you will know things like using slot, vslot, all of those things for passing values. Yeah, because it's using normal HTML templates by default, HTML elements by default. So using the slot allows you to write to stuff, create new things, manipulate using composition. I'm sure you know that Vue.js has something called composition. It has different variants. I think the options and composition framework variant. I don't know the word. I'm not really into Vue, but I know how it works. So if you talk about the composition, now you understand why component composition, something like that. You blend it together, it works. Simple. So yeah, that is it. So we have all of the slots, the portal. I don't know about the direction provider. I'm not sure I installed anything like this. Oh yeah, I did. It's there. I remember it when it was creating it. Let me look for it to show you guys. And there's something called direction or the provider. I know you created it. I can't find it, but I know it's there. I know you created it like that. I saw for a change. So yeah, every other thing is there. Dialog is there. Data list is there. Flex is there. Very important for me. Box, flex, the grid. Those three are very important. The reason for all of this is because of these three things. The original reason for all of these projects and this whole code base is because of this. Sorry, I'm pointing to the screen that much, but you get the idea. All right, so let's see what this is working on. Let me just wait a bit. All right, this is in phase 4. This is cool. It's quite fast. All right, now let's see this. The turbo configuration. Just leave the turbo and go to the next one. I just need you to complete this. You've been on this for how long? This has completed 2 phases and you're still on the same turbo configuration for crying out loud. Okay, no, that's fine. I'm going. I don't want for I actually configured it on two before. Should fix it to remove the pipeline section since version of Turbo doesn't support it. Ah man, I'm trying to not just enter this myself, trying to get my hands dirty. But then, like I said, it's vibe coded, all vibe coded. My hands are not going to touch this until absolutely necessary. Maybe to make some few changes, tweak this, use this, don't use this, remove this, or don't remove this. But I'm not touching this code base for now. I'll just allow you to do its thing. Let's see how far it can go. So it's still complaining of TypeScript errors. Obviously, there are a lot of TypeScript errors in the project, so it's going to do a lot of updating. You can see everything red, everywhere is just red. Now, this is not needed in this case, right? This cannot be applied to types. This. What did you add here? The value. How is that even an error? I don't even understand what he's saying yet. Okay, this is going to fix it. As you can see, it's extremely slow compared to the speed at which this guy is working. This is extremely slow, and that's the issue. The one I'm using is GLM 4.6. It's very slow. There are times it works fast, but it's rare. So yeah, I think 4.7 is a bit faster than it. I've not used 4.7 a lot. It's still pretty new, and I've not had a reason to use it. And besides, it's free on KiloCode as well. So if you're interested in using that on KiloCode, go find it. It works. Okay, so while we are working on this, let's see what's the update for this one. This is on phase 4, the overlay components. The overlay component, the dialog, the alert dialog, like I was explaining now, using portals, context menu. Yeah, it's another overlay component. Did this one implement context menu? Let me check. That would be cool if you implemented it. Nah, it did not. It's not something simple to implement. I knew it wouldn't implement that. Okay, so that's fine. It didn't implement context menu. So out of it, it didn't implement keypad. Keyboard, yeah, it did. So why did this skip context menu? Okay, that's fine. I really don't need it. It's not that compulsory. Let me go back to the themes. Go back to this. So things like okay, but we have the checkbox card as well. I don't know if we did the group. I think we did the card. This is important to me as well because it's quite useful. This is useful to me. So we did the card, the call out, the button. I think the call out is there, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, call out is there. Call out is basically just the same thing as a view, but I add stuff to I give properties of colors like this, which I feel like most of them are wrong. This color should not be coming from here, it should be coming from a particular template, not just defined like this. So that means we have a particular color accessible across the entire project. I love having stuff like that. If you can make it a type that you can export, it's just probably going to fail eventually. Things like radius, the sizes, of course, the sizes may vary, but you should have a default sizing, which if I was not doing it, all of this would be going to particular constants, right? Where I'm going to import, export them from the soft, the surface, the outline, at least the basic one, which I know the surface, outline, I can create from different ones. I know that for certain properties, certain components, they have like, they use the same thing. Things like buttons, things like the call out, all of them have surface and outline and soft. Soft and surface are like one thing you have across board. But like I said, AI is different. So let it do its thing. I'll just clean it up eventually if it works. And then I want to push it out for the community to use. I can just clean it and get it can work for it works for looking at the repo today to pick it out. This is the repo for the Radix UI. So it's basically just a bunch of types like this, as you can see. So this shouldn't be a problem, right? That is fine. But there's one more thing that to see here. Things like this, because that's where I want to show. All right. So, but basically, this is the color. These are the colors, right? We have the dark, we have the light color for. So this is exactly what it was already itself, which is used here. Let me the theme package so you guys will see what I'm trying to point out. From the theme itself, which is the Radix UI theme, it has its own token like this, which contains the colors also, which contains the CSS, which was defined like this to actual CSS values, like so that you can use it as variables, right? This is what it does. Now, two things. These same colors here already exist here. Because if you look at it in this case, you see things like support color. This, of course, we don't have this support feature on the mobile. So all of this not necessary, they will not work. But we know that we can have things like this, especially when we are working with Tailwind. We can define this specific thing, which is where it's going to make a lot more sense, which is what I've been thinking about for some time. How does if I'm using Tailwind? The thing is, it's going to work for Tailwind. All I need to do is just extend the original Tailwind stuff, and then I want them to need cage, not having to do it manually. So two things I noticed the AI did was it created the same similar stuffs using this color X values, right? The same color X values, but quite different, just a bit different. Let me say a tad different, not too different. But it didn't capture the entire thing because this is much. As you can see, this is for amber, right? And the same amber here that I need. So what I need basically here is not this support thing. I don't need the support. Anything else will support here, I don't need it. So I can definitely remove this. This works for web, and let me just leave it for web. But you see the other one here can be used. So we can create stuff like this also natively and it can still work. So what I need to do is, and if I'm looking like this now, I'm looking at amber here in this case. Let's look for amber here and see if we can get something like that. So let me just search for amber. So this is amber, right? You can see the amber. You can see amber A, which is the alpha values for amber. Then you have the amber P3, which is the one with the colors. Now P3 is the whole color gamut stuff. Let's not even talk about that. But I don't know if this is going to work for native as well. I don't know. I've not thought of it. So we have the amber P3, we have the orange color, so we have the amber P3, and everything you see here. Let's take a look at it, see if it's different. For amber, we have FE, FD, FB. You can see the same thing here, FE, FB, FD. So we can use the same colors here by using this to represent it, A to 12, which is 1 to 12 rather, and you can have the same thing here. But what you can have is also the amber A, which you can then use to like make it work for what we want to use, which is expected. So what I would prefer to use is, instead of having it as CSS like this, since you can have CSS colors like this in mobile, we can port the entire thing by copying just the source here and telling it, because this is now accessible because it's like a key value, right? So you can tell it to use this for the whole color system. That's what I was thinking. Or having it to install this, but I don't want you to install this because then we need to start thinking about the old thing we don't need. So there's no point. Just copy the source. We have the dark, we have the light, we have the white, black, and the index, which is just the general export, right? So that's all we need. And we don't need this. We don't need to build the CSS module too because we don't need all of those things. Now we can do all of this if we want to use it in like Tailwind. You can then configure all of this, like all this. But you notice that this will automatically already fail for mobile, so we don't need that. And this is just to check if it supports P3 at rule and stuff, which are new features in the web, so clearly not available on mobile. No, so it's just going to be copying this for. So those are things I will still work with eventually. I just want to see if AI can get this fixed first of all. All right, so let's see. Going back to this, this doesn't feel like it's doing anything really. Yeah. All right, so it still boils down to the issue of the colors I'm talking about. So I fear that it might not be able to get the color fixed, the color issue that I'm talking about fixed. And that's, I believe, might be a personal. I'm not expecting it might not be something for us, which I'll now say, okay, use this color's key value. You can just pick what you want from it using the name, just like I have here. So using the name, you can just pick something like black, black A. It knows automatically gets the color. And I don't know if RGB also works on mobile. I've not tried RGBA before. It's usually X values I use for mobile. But for web, I prefer RGBA and HSL, HSLA too for web. So those are the issues we face every day. All right. So this it feels like work. So I'm going to go back to colors.ts. It's back to colors.ts. So it doesn't even know what to do right now. It's so confused. So it doesn't know how to use it. So let's take it back to the Indigo thing, which is, let's search for Indigo. So Indigo in this case, you have Indigo Indigo Dark A. So if you're using the light version, it's probably A1, A2, and stuff. So for us to get the A1 it needs to first do .indigo A, then .a1. That's what it needs to do. So I'm trying to help it here to get stuff done. So I'm just going to do this and multi-fix this. Say .indigo A that should fix the problem. So here is going to be the same thing here. Amber this. This is what I was trying to explain. So say this. Imagine having to make all of these fixes myself. Blue WA this. Now, the reason why we are using the A simply means we are looking for the alpha version. Now, the alpha version is one of the best things that Radix provides for you. That's one of the reasons why I like using it all the time, because it just works for you. The alpha version, especially, has been properly defined. So you can have multiple colors on each other and it gives you that shade that makes sense. The shades are one of the best things you get in this color system. So, this is the bronze, bronze A dot this to brown. You know what? What I'm going to do is simple here. In order to not waste my time, I'm going to do this. I'm going to do something here. That will not work because there are different names to it. Okay, you know what? Brown A. Same thing here. Crimson A. Same thing here. Cyan A. I'm already getting tired. When I'm AI is making me so weak at doing stuff like this. Repetitive things are boring to do these days. The gold A. Okay, so then the gray also gray A. No, not P3. Gray A. So the same thing applies to green. Now you can see this is using almost all the colors, but not all the colors. I don't even know if these are the colors. But I know the colors are like 24. So I don't know if it's using all of them. Green A. Then we have the indigo A. The indigo. I think we've selected indigo A before. Why twice? Oh no. Okay, it's actually it's listed alphabetically, so we've not done indigo before. Okay, that's fine. So we have the iris A. So we have the lime. Okay, I think it captured all the colors because lime A. So we have mauve. Mauve is one of my favorite colors in Radix here. For reasons I don't understand. I don't use it, but I like it whenever I see it. So then we have the olive. Please don't tamper what I'm working on. I don't want changing stuff. You couldn't fix it. Let me fix it myself. Then the orange. Then we have the pink. Then we have the plum. Okay, I think this is correct because I could have been done with it by now if it was not all the colors. So plum A. Then we have the purple. Also purple. But the thing is now, how does it know? How do I know if it's in the dark mode? Because now I'm using just the light mode colors. I also need the dark mode colors, which is where this get tricky. Okay, we're going to work with that eventually. So yeah, I need to figure out how the dark mode is. Okay, no, let's just figure the colors out. So we'll kill that bed when we get there. Jeez, is this changing? Oh no, this is changing everything I'm working on. Are you kidding me right now? Really? It's going to fail. It's not what it wants to do. In the entire thing I've been working on for a while. And he's writing it and rewriting it, and I know it's going to fail, but he's still writing it. Ruby A. I still won't mind. I'll make the changes. Sky A. Then slate A. Then the teal. Then the tomato. Then the tomato. Then violet. Did we jade? That's fixed. Then violet. I don't think we touched jade. I wanted jade to be there. I'll look for it. I'll search for it. Okay, so now this is me fixing the stalls. Like I said, this is what I'm going to be doing. Just making the fixes where AI gets stuck. Providing help. Yeah, so now we successfully resolved all the issues, and if I'm not mistaken, AI is changing the same thing I'm changing. Very stupid stuff. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to copy it before it makes all the fixes, so I can just copy it back and paste it. Yeah, always use that. Control C will help your life in places, especially when working with AI. All right, so that is fine. I see this guy removing 539 lines of code. What are you doing? He's on strong. Let's look at strong. Where have you gotten to? Yeah, on strong. He's implementing the primitives. Or he's implementing the typography. Okay, it's typography. Okay, that's fine. Okay, so that makes sense. He's still on typography, so he's almost done. He's on phase. Oh, he's adding React memo. That means he's done with the phases. What phase is he in? I'm not even sure right now. I think he should be done with all the phase 1 to 6. Okay, so I can see here it says layout components are now memoized, which is cool. So he's working on optimization already. Let me update the typographic component with memo. I'll start with the test component. Okay, so it has done all the components. It's just optimizing them using things like memo right now. So two things we need to do also. We need to understand that since you are using this in a React Native component or an Expo project, it simply means we need to ensure that it works with the latest. For me, the goal is to work with the latest libraries. There's no backward compatibility right now. We have not even gotten it to work. That is for later stuff. And besides, not everybody will use this. It's just for people that need it, that knows the reason for having things like this. So we want to make sure it works with latest libraries and all the quirks are being handled. So this is fine. I'm impressed with it handling the optimization already. Thinking about optimization using Memo to prevent re-rendering, to re-render. We want it to be as performant as possible. It's part of the flow, it's part of the I think it's part of the plan generally. I think in phase like you saw the other time at the beginning of the video when I showed you guys, is in phase 13. Phase 12 is testing, performance testing, 13 is documentation. So I think it's done with the major one. So he's working on documentation now. Now let's see what this guy is working on. If it breaks the entire thing and I see red again, I'm going to be pissed off with this thing. I feel like it's going to give me the same red. I've fixed the entire issue, but it still went ahead and break the entire thing. Well, let's complain yet until I see it. Then I know if it has done the right thing or the wrong things. Just calm, calm. Let's see. Let's see. Oh, it worked. Okay. So you actually got it to work. Like I said, benefit of doubt. I'm not complaining on this. This is fine. So you got it to work. That's cool. So no longer any complaints. So if I'm not mistaken now, this should fix all the dark mode, light mode thing. But I'm now wondering why they are now like the same colors here. This doesn't help at the end of the day. Nah, still not, because now we have the same color. So if I use Ascent 12, Ascent 12 works the same way as Ascent 6, and that doesn't add anything difference to it. So this is false. I'm not going to work with this. I'm going to work with what I have before, which is this. This way I have different accessibility colors. All we can do to make this change is we can get the current mode that we are using the theme. So whenever you define dark color, whether when you're on light mode, you use the light colors. If you're on dark mode, you use things like the indigo dark A. So we can define that accent light, accent dark. Like I said, let's fix the major things. So yeah. So I didn't go with it for me. I feel it was wrong. It is wrong. It's going to keep going like this, until forever. Until I cancel it and say no, don't worry about it. I'll fix it myself. Or it tells me that, oh yes, I've fixed it. It should work now. Then it doesn't work now. Then you try again, and it doesn't work now. Meanwhile, this guy is writing tests already to see if it's going to work. Difference in generations of LLMs. This is just cool. I'm liking what I'm seeing here, and this is not throwing any error. I don't know if this is because I haven't run anything, but it feels like all the imports are perfectly written. and everything just makes sense. The colors, gray dot one. I hope it's in the right colors. I don't know how the colors have been defined yet. I don't know. I will check it out eventually. All right, let me give this one a bit more time to be done. It's writing test already, which is cool. Like I said, I want it to write test. So if this can get this working once, one shot it, Minimax is a good model. Automatically is a good model. I'm never going to doubt it anymore. I'm going to be expecting it. Wow. That would be so cool. All right, so this also has issues from here. It's complaining to edit this. Bro, you are still on number four. This guy has completed that from start to finish. Oh my god. I'm waiting for Minimax to finish this. I'm so happy with this. So he's writing the README file. That means he's on the last phase. Documentations. Wow, this is impressive. So I know obviously didn't write all the test cases. I might be wrong, but I think he's writing just for a few of them. Set up just I know it won't set it up properly, so that means my either my TypeScript engine is not working properly or something is not working because I don't think it will get the entire thing once working and set up without one error. I've not seen that work before. It was 100%. And that is extremely cool. With a single error that it can deliver. Now these are the dangers of it. Pros and cons, literally on the same screen. So we have the Radix native theme. This is the documentation, the first documentation at least. The peer dependencies greater than 18, React Native greater than 7. Very nice. Then we have the theme provider, which is important because we are using it like this, the light, the dark, and stuff. Then using themes in components, you can define it like this. Okay, now I'm impressed with this. I'm very impressed with this. So the layouts, available components, we have the layouts, which is the box, flex, grid, container, insets, which is not exactly what I have on Radix, but I can still allow it. So it has the box, flex, grid, container, and section. So it changed section to inset in his own case. I don't know if section and container and insets is the same. No, they're totally different. So we have the typography, text, heading, strong EM code. Let's see if it does that well. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Let's see if it gets the 9. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 8. Which one did it miss out? The quotes, I think. Yeah, quote is not there. That's the only one not there. That's fine. I can do without the quote. We don't need quote on mobile that much. The form components, form buttons. Oh wow, without the variants. That's cool. Text field, text area, switch, radio group. Perfect. Just perfect. What a radio card? Is there a radio card? There's no radio card. Yeah, the radio cards. It's not there. No problem. I'll copy from that one and paste here. That's the essence of doing it this way. So we'll copy and paste it here, and then you should get it working. So I think this is fine. You can see phase six is done. So one shot after having a good plan. That is why you must have a good plan when you work with your programs. When you work with LLMs, your code bases have a good documentation for it. So what we did was just write one documentation. Of course, that documentation took the whole of yesterday, almost 2 hours. Okay, no, not 2 hours, almost let's say almost an hour to write because I spent the first hour explaining why I wanted to do this and which framework I want to port to native and why and the approach. So we spent almost 40 minutes getting the requirements right. Then now the guy we got it right. Imagine just giving the AI and in 1 hour and some minutes, in fact in less than an hour, it's successfully done with it. So everything in less than 30 minutes is done with the entire stuff. I'm not saying it's perfect. I'm not saying it's going to work yet, but I might be wrong. Let's try it out. So it's already telling me that this is done. We have the typography, we have the layout, we have the navigation, like as you can see here. We have the overlay, which uses dialogue, alerts, pop-up, to tip, everything I was explaining the other time. Even context menu, can you imagine? Then we have the portal also that makes sense. Then this is how you use the button, for instance. Now, comparing this button, in fact, I want you guys to see this. Now, comparing this button here, which is the button component, with the button component that comes from Radix. Let's look at it if it's actually similar. So the first thing in this case, let's use here to check it out. We have the button variant classic. In this case, too, we have the button variant. The default is classic, so you don't need to define it. Then the variant is solid, soft. Oh my god, I'm impressed. I'm extremely impressed. This is cool. And if you can get it to work 100%, then I don't know. I don't know. So I was going to go and write on Minimax Twitter page and say best model ever. Well, yeah, for my use case. So let's see the sizes also. You define the button size 1, 2, and 3, just the same way you have button size 1, 2, 3. Medium is the default. The state is disabled and loading. I don't think Redis provides you loading state, in fact. Okay, it provides you loading state. It doesn't provide disabled state and stuff. Yeah, that. So, so impressed right now. This is graph, which also the size, the heading, the code. Oh, jeez. And this is still battling with this. And this has completed an entire implementation in just this is impressive. I'm super impressed. How to use the layout with box and flex. We have the box, we styling the flex layout, the grid, using the box. Let me check the okay, the flex already is cool. We already know the flex will work because we have an example of the flex here, like this, align center gap 3, similar to this, direction row, align center gap. Beautiful. Cool. Use the actual flex layout. So going here, we can use flex just like this, something similar. I think we take in the column this. So we just column 3, gap 4, and then declarative box inside of it. Oh wow, this is cool. This is extremely nice. Then we can customize the theme as well. We can provide the theme provider accent color to be different colors, the theme colors to be this gray. Okay, the theme provides a comprehensive color palette, which is everything we have here. So we have the light and the dark, which is exactly what I need this guy to do. But no, it couldn't do it. And the reason is because we are going to be working with modes, right? Color modes. We are going to be working with light and dark mode. Obviously, everybody does that. So it's needed for a UI framework. So having the light and dark mode. So now, even if it doesn't use the one from Radix, understandably so, all I need to do is just convert it to use because he's using 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It should be 12, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 9, 10, 11. So he's using 11 instead of like we have for like we have here. Let me go to the colors. With 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. It's just a matter of just adding it. So copy problem for gray. So we can easily just have the same colors there, but still allow for extensibility. And then we have the theme spacing, we have the typography. You can literally customize it. So you see migration guide from web Radix themes. Key differences, no CSS in JS. React Native uses styles instead of CSS. Box model is using padding and margin props instead of CSS shorthand. Um, Colors uses color scales arrays. Now those are the scales, which is exactly what we want, not CSS variables. Then the responsiveness, media queries work differently in React Native, which yes, I was not expecting even responsiveness to work. I'm surprised it's working. I'm surprised they even implemented that. Then event handlers on click to on press, which is fine. The testing works, performance, contributing. This is impressive. I'm super impressed. Like I don't know how to explain impressed. The way how impressed I feel that this is able to completely implement this one shot. That is cool. That is cool. Wow. Okay, I've used AI a lot. I'm not really usually impressed with their stuff. I'm impressed most times because I do a lot of prompting and I do a lot of checking. But this is the first time I've just prompted, do this, and I get the actual result of what I'm expecting. But I'm not sure. I've not checked. I've not tested it out. I'm not sure if it works. But that aside, this already looks like something I want to use. To be honest, I'm already impressed with this. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to just wow, I'm almost speechless. This is impressive. I'm usually not impressed, but this coming to the before. No, it doesn't. So it wasn't there. So that means let me check if it still created the ES build. It's going to fail. So removing it, it has to remove it because we don't need it. And if I'm not mistaken, the way you wrote the entire thing, and crazy enough, I was checking if there was going to be any red lines. The only red line I can see here is on just one file. Just one file. And this guy wrote almost 92 different files. As you can see, they are not on version. So 92 different files. And all I got was just one error. And I'm sure it's a type error. Okay, it might be more than a type error, but I'm sure it's not a type error. This should be my fault when I was typing stuff. Oh no, no. I think I understand what is happening here. Wow. Honestly, I'm shocked. Like, as you can see, that's the only error that we got. That is the only thing that failed, and all I needed to do was fix it, and that's it. It's still perfectly okay. Like, this is okay. This is a mind blowing moment for me right now. I honestly am shocked that I wrote an entire thing first time without having issues. AI got it one shot. The entire 92 files was correct. No errors. Wow. And you see the one by the left that I spent hours working on, still giving me the same issues. Same thing, even after fixing some other stuff, it's still having issues fixing this. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to cancel this. It's not going to get it fixed. It can't. Once AI goes to that same thing and keep telling you, oh, I wasn't able to do it, let me try again. Just cancel it and rethink your way of prompting it. When I'm done with this, this is my workspace now. When I'm done with this one and it works, I'll come back to this to see if I can get it done. And I might not, because if this one works for me, I don't need that one. This one implemented more components than this gave to me. Of course, this gave me like 100 and something files with some other additional files I didn't need. But this one did it better, I think. It even wow. I really love this. I don't know. I'm not changing it at this point. So we have the themes exactly defining the colors the same way I would have wanted it. The color scale 1 to 12. It's the same thing, literally the same thing I have there. 1 to 12 with the contrast, with the surface indicator on the track. This is beautiful, honestly. And even the alpha scale too. So you created the gray and the gray alpha. You can see how consistent this was. Exactly giving me what I have here. Gray and gray alpha and gray P3. I know I can't use the P3. It knows I can't use P3 on mobile. So it didn't create the P3, which makes sense. Now the gray color scale, using mauve as default gray because like I said, I love mauve. How did you know I love? Okay, this is getting weird, but it's actually very nice because this is one of the ones I like using. I like using the mauve. Like I said, then I was literally prompting this. That I don't know, I just like the mauve, and then it goes ahead and use the mauve. The same thing. And literally, this is the first time I'm using this model for this. Okay, you know what? I don't know. I need to go and work on something else, something very extreme. I have pen projects I've been pending for long. I'm trusting this model 100% to fix it for me. I'm mind blown right now. You know what? I need to commit this. I just need to do that. Creating a branch, right? I'm calling it Radix UI. You can feel the excitement in me getting this to work in less than 30 minutes. And I spent almost 4 hours getting this one to work today. More than 4 hours, in fact, if I'm not mistaken, almost 6 hours. And I still didn't get anything to work well, full of errors and stuff. I'm not blaming this, but it's just generations apart. And just within 4 months, difference in the models, that's impressive. Whew, this is nice. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to just commit all of this, the entire thing. Then I'm now going to try starting the project. You know what? I'm just going to kill this one right here and work with this one by the right. And I'm going to, you know what, first things first, let me add this to VCS. So now you should have 94 in total. What was I trying to remove? That was not there. Yeah, the radix, this, I don't need this, right? Why is it still here? I already added it to, all right, that's fine. So I'm just going to comment that and I'm going to remove this one. Okay. Almost done. 10 more minutes for this video and then I'm done with it. But I would never expected this to be the progress today. Like I'm shook. 100% shook. Jeez. All right, so let's write the commit message for this. Let's see if we can. It's already 90 something files. So add comprehensive test and setup for this. Yeah, so setup build configuration. We can't use it for setup build. I'm going to remove this. It shouldn't be part of it. Yeah, that's fine. Just commit it. Don't push anything. Just commit it. We are going to push when we are done and it looks cool. Minimax, you are the best model I've used so far. 100%, hands down. So yes, I'm recommending Minimax 2.1 for anybody that is using it. Minimax 2.1 is a good model. And I think the orchestrator model on Kilo Code is the best. This is what I'm going to be using for my complex project. Why haven't I ever thought of using this? What have I been doing? Jeez. Okay, I'm going to be dropping stuff now. From starting tomorrow or starting tonight. I don't know. I need to rest. I need to eat. I need to freshen up and stuff. Okay, so going to test this. I'm just too happy to see this work at once. Just one shot and it worked. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and okay, you know what? Let me go here first. So there's a component API which we have here, which contains all the use cases for all of them, which we don't need for now at least. But I need the README. It contains okay, that was what I read just now. So how do I run this now? I've not added how to run it here, but all I need to do is just go to this folder, which is the playground native. I think it has installed it. I'm not sure. I don't. Okay, I think it has installed it because like, it hasn't. It hasn't because you don't have the node modules. So exactly, I think that's why everything is still working. So not to curb my excitement, right? To curb the entire excitement I feel right now. So I'm going to try doing something. I'm going to run this and see if it works perfectly well. So if it works well and works the way I expect it to, then I'm going to be more happier than I am currently. Like I'm going to be happier than this. But let's test it out, right? Um, okay, first things first. So I'm going to say write the. So I would like to test this from the so I want you to write a plan, a .md file as well. Like I said, we need to go here. We need to install all of this. It's using Expo 50. I want to use a higher version. I don't like Expo 50 here. This is too old. So I'm going to be using. So I think first things first, I need you to do. Okay, so we want to create the metro config file again for the actual project, not at the base. Um, okay, probably shouldn't have told you to do that. I'm doing something else right now. I've been praising it for a while. I don't want to go canceling all the praises I've been giving the model. But let's see if it doesn't misbehave still, if he understands what I want. It says I'll set up the playground app for testing the local disk. Let me start by checking the current state and then creating necessary files. So if it's smart enough, as I expect it to, okay, exactly. So it's creating the metro file now, number one. So that's the first thing you needed to do, which was cool. The second thing you needed to do, or you need to do, is to remove this build script. We don't use it. We don't need it. So I'll just assume it's just there. But I know we are not going to use it. Maybe just because I copied and pasted it. I don't know. But I know it's not needed. So I won't just put any mind to it. All right, so let's go ahead and any description. Fine, it's fine. It's still cool. So it's telling us we need to export this yes stuff from Mac OS 100 ML. We need tools. We need to install to use the PMPM is which we need to of this, then build the project, run it. I'm not going to be building it. I'll just run it. Thank God my simulator is still up. Oh no, what's it doing? Okay, yeah. So it's creating all the. So it's updating the app with all the demos, so I can have like a demo of all the implementations that was done. Yeah, so that's expected. The one he did before just contained some few ones like the buttons and all. But now it should contain all the other features like the grid, to the containers, the insert, the text, the heading, strong themes, EM code, blah blah blah. Everything go on the switch. I'm curious to see how he's going to implement the switch and how good it's going to look like. The switch, the segmented control, the spinner. I'm so curious right now. I just want to test this. Let me just go there straight away. Go to playground. Yes. I'm going to npm pmpm install first, which I don't have installed. So if I'm not mistaken, it should create all the components and I should be able to test them one by one. So the best thing to have done was to like create a file for them, but at least this is fine. In just one page, if it does that on a single page, it should be going to thousands of lines of code. But if I can test it on one page too, it's fine. I don't have a problem with it. Um, 792 lines of code. That's fair. I have more code base that is over 1,000 lines and they still run fine. So that's not an issue. Wow, 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 wow. Like I'm mind blown right now. First thing I was expecting to do, he did it perfectly well. The metro config was done, which was I was expecting it to do, and he did that perfectly well. I don't know if it's going to work. I don't know, but I assume it's going to. Don't run this on the web. It's not going to work. Okay, it's passing the result of the subtask back to the original parents that created that. So I'm going to do this. I'm going to pnpm install for the playground native. So I'm going to update it to use. I'm going to update the packages. I want it to use no, I'm going to go here, update the package here to use an actual advanced, let me not say advanced, let me say latest expo version, if I'm not mistaken. The status bar should be the same, or let me just start with the original one. So once it's done importing the expo, that should be fine. So it's already saying that it created, let me go through this. So files created at this, which is fine. And documentation is this, which is fine. The demos perfectly well written. All right, I'm okay with this, honestly. All right, so this is done. We are using the Expo 50, so I'm going to update it to 54. Um, no, please don't crash, not now. I'm going to close this. That's why. Okay, thank you for coming back up. I'm going to close this. I don't need this one by the left. It's just taking space I don't need. Okay, so all right, so that's fine. So now that we are done with this, I'm going to change this to 54. I'm going to be using the latest version, which is 54 latest. I'm going to be using the latest. So again, it's already up to date. So here, check. So I'm going to check for the dependencies. Obviously, they are not aligned. It's going to fix the dependency to use the actual stores. So the first thing I see here is it's using 4.8.0, change it to 4.8.2, installing two SDKs compatible with this. Are you sure this is correct? So the Babel core, let's see, what's the latest? I think it's in the latest Babel core configuration 2.8. Okay. So the React also should be, if I'm not mistaken, React should be 19. I want to use 19 for it. But you know what? I'm not bothered about that for now. TypeScript is one I want to update to use the latest one. But that's fine. So let's just update the dependencies. I'll check it again if everything is fine. I know that yes, we've done successfully most of the fixes. So what I'm going to do next is checking to see if everything is up to date. So if everything is up to date, I should get. So why didn't you tell me this was wrong before? So we have the status bar, which will be 3, 1, 19. Okay. All right. So it's the same version across board. So I'm that the project from where it was. Did I close the simulator? Did I quit it? I think I did. Not sure. I thought it was opened. All right, that aside, let's go back to this. So the simulator is going back to where we have it here. So I'm waiting for this to be done, installing. Then I'm going to go back to test this implementation we've done. And if everything works fine once, I'm going to end the video here today. And so I want you also to subscribe if you have not, because in few hours time, uh, tomorrow morning. This is 6 p.m. Nigerian time, West African time. So in a few hours time, I'm going to create a video to show you the current progress. Then if I don't get it done during the day because of work or because of other busy schedules, then I'm going to come back here tomorrow evening, 24 hours exactly, and then come and show you guys how this works also. So that's exactly what I'm going to do. So now this is done. All the checks are done. Let me check again. Everything is up to date, so there's no issue. So everything is updated to fit into one another. So next thing I'm going to do now is MPX export. You know what? I'm going to create a new terminal for that. Export start. If I'm not mistaken, it should work fine. Cannot determine this. Expo is not installed. What? That's weird. That's true. What did I just do? I'm supposed to go to our playground. Yeah, so I should run this from here, and yeah. So if I'm not mistaken, my simulator it's not opened, it's not triggered. Where are you hiding? Where's the simulator? Thought you were running. Oh yeah, I stopped it. I turned it off, right? Yeah, I forgot I did that. Yeah. So I'm using iPhone 16. So I'm testing with iOS 18. I think, if I'm not mistaken. I don't know. No, it's not iOS 18. I think it's 17. Not sure. But let me run this again. Open on iOS simulator, Expo Go. Yeah, expected. No, I'm not even surprised, right? And I'm not even angry at this. Even though this is happening, I'm not pissed off at this. So you say the first thing is I have unable to resolve modules, app playground, node modules, Expo, app entry from this, React Native, this, none of these files exist. Node modules, Expo, app entry, all of this do not exist. Expo app entry. I understand what's happening. Do I have to create all of these files myself? Nah, I don't want to do that. Okay. Give me the same error. Let me see what to do here. So I'm going to copy this error. Obviously, I can understand. I probably prefer to copy from the other project. That would have made more sense. Okay, you know what? I'm going to do something here. I have something created here, which I'm going to go copy. Um, so I have a very solid app structure here, which I don't even think I want to use right now, because I have to define all the component and other stuff, which I don't think I want. But the app.json also exists. I'll just copy this. I'll copy this here, paste it here. Don't add it to it. I'll go back here and use app.tsx, which I should have the app, the layout, and the index like this. Yeah, this is just doing one thing. Hmm. I don't think that's a problem, but then that's fine. So we have theme from where? Yeah, so we have the actual theme the same way we have it in React Native. All right, so this is fine. I will still have the actual app.ts, but before I do that, I'm going to copy this. I don't want to tamper with this app structure. I like the app.tsx mode. It gives me access to be able to use it in like creating a snack for it so that people can test it out. If I do it this way, the only way I can upload it to a snack is by using the app.tsx. If I don't use that, I can't use the normal Expo version, Expo templates and get it to work on snack. It's not going to work. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to give it back to the AI to fix that. So I'm going to say, so when it is, I will say when I run this app, I get this. So I'm going to remove the file I just added, which is the app.json file. I'm going to remove that 100%. What else that? I think that's it. So can you why this error and how do I fix it? So obviously I know what it needs to do, but I trust I've seen the way this AI works, so I believe you should be able to get it done. If you can one shot all of this for me, then I'm extremely confident you should be able to get it done. So I'm using PNPM. Please don't use Yan. I should have explained to you I'm using PNPM. Please don't use Yan for me. Don't want to have two different configurations. All right, so I'm going to add this and this to VCS. So I know what is happening. So I have this installed. I have this. So okay, I'm not going to commit it yet. I'll wait for it to be done. So yeah, this is already done. All right, nice. That's cool. So you understand I'm using PNPM, and that's fine. So I've already installed it. Everything should be fine. Okay. So defendant is successfully. Let me verify the Expo mode is not available. Yeah, that's exactly not the problem. So let me just go fixing the problem, right? I know what the problem is. Let me just do it myself. Paste that, create an app, create everything, get it to work, blah blah blah. I'm done. Okay, so this is the only issue it has not been able to resolve for me. Know why? So that's fine. I'm not going to push it too hard. I already understand what is happening. So I'm going to go back to package here. I already have this. I'm going to add this C to it. Adding C means I'm clearing the cache whenever I restart the server. So I'm going to restart the server. Expo starts, npm expo starts. So it's going to restart that. I'm going to reload the app itself by clicking R. So R here will reload the app, but it's not on. So I have to click on I to open the simulator. It's going to so there was a problem running this these days. Reload this, blah blah blah. Still the same error. Why do you keep crashing and then refresh? What's the problem? Alright, so it's going to crash again. So I need to go and fix the entry file. I'll just not mind the file that I'm using app.tsx. So my app.tsx will become my index.tsx for the stuff I want to create. So I'm going to create the directory here. You know what? I'm going to copy this. I'm going to copy this again. I'm going to paste it here. In Playground Native, right? I have that. I'm going to go back here, copy my app, the entire app. Okay, that's fine. I'll copy the, okay, you know what? I'll just create an app directory here myself. Um, app. So the app is going to contain two files, underscore layouts.tsx, and it's going to contain the underscore, the index.tsx, no underscore. So this is going to be my entry point to my app. This is going to become my index. Why did I create this? This is going to be my index.tsx file, which is going to contain my theme and everything, everything. So two things I should have, I can and could have an index.js that's going to replace my entry file for this project. That's the way it was done before, but I'm using the new version, so it works. If this doesn't work, I can always go back if I want to add it to Snack for people to test and stuff like that directly. But for now, I'm not doing that. Just cover this index.tsx, rename the function. Where? Where was it being used? Should have checked that first of all, but that's fine. So I'm going to paste it and move it inside here. So it's inside the layout. So the layout here should be the same as the layout here, which is just most of this, but without the entire thing. So it's just going to be most of things I don't need. You know what? My layout is just going to be my layout, but it's going to be half of just this. Just going to be safe area provider, which is coming from the context, and safe area view provide. Now the portal provider was created by the previous one, so we don't use that anymore. So I don't need this. So status bar is going to remain there. I'm going to have my same name. Nothing changes. Background, nope, not using this. Because if you look at the index doesn't use any of those things. It uses all of this. So it doesn't really matter what the container is. It's going to use the color canvas that I already have from. I don't know where it's getting it from, but then let's see if it's going to work. So we have the index function, blah, blah, blah here, which is the index. So I'm going to go here and that's it. Yeah, that should be it. And I think this should work. Refresh this. Yeah, I need to restart the simulator again. Fail to resolve this. Explorer router read tip not imported. Where? Fail to resolve plugin for Expo module route, Expo router. Oh, tell me I don't have Expo router installed. Oh, Jesus. What kind of installation did I do here before? Let me go and get that. I'll just go back to the documentation for Expo. Or better still, I don't know. I'm looking for the one that makes life easy for me the most. I have a project that uses a very old version of this stuff. I think this one, if I'm not mistaken, this is the old version. Okay, it's not this one. Not this, not you. Close. Let me close the client. I don't think I'm using the client, so please don't tell me I closed the kilo version. Oh no. What did I do? Oh no, what did I do? That was so annoying. Okay, you know what? I'm just going to go here and open this here. I'm going to open another one I have here, which was the old one I had before. That uses this previous implementation. I'm not sure I have that here. Okay, so I can't find it. I wanted to just pick from there and use that instead. I don't think it's this one. I don't know. I don't think it's that one. There's one I used a long time ago for mobile that worked. Okay, so I can't find it. So I'm just going to use the router, right? Currently, what is complaining of is there's no router, which is understandably so. So if I go to one of these projects, probably see this one. So let's say I pick one of these. Um, thank you. So let's say I pick one of these. Let me pick. Let's say I pick on. When did I create this? I can't remember I been creating this. I know I have this. When did I create this? Okay, this was one I opened just now. I think I need to remove this from the list. It's too much. Not this, not this, not this, not this. Oh my god, just pick one. Yeah, this one. Yes, so that one works. So this one should be yeah, so this is an example of one that is native wind. What I need here is the Let me see. Package.json. Yeah. So the package contains expo router. Oh, yeah. Exactly. So it contains expo. This is why it's complaining. There's no expo router. There's no a lot of other things that we need. It's going to be difficult copying all of this one by one here. So what I probably should have done here would be to create a new expo project, add it, change it, and modify it to what I want it to be. But I'm not doing that right now. I'm just going to copy what I know I can use. Expo router in this case. Copy to the package.json for this one, paste it there, and if I'm not mistaken, I should be using pmpmi. Just pmpmi. So you should install that for me. It feels like I have some other stuff. I keep seeing deprecated modules everywhere. Okay, next React Native model. Okay, okay, okay. That's for the web. We don't need that for the web. So okay, so I have this. So I'm just going to, like, we already added C here, so it's going to relative. Oh Jesus. Okay, I'm just going to go with the approach. I already said I'm going to do that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go here, start a new project, and then create a new project, then modify everything inside the current one. So what I'm going to do is go to the reference, go to no reference like in this case, Babel preset expo, Metro also, then we have the app.config, which you already have there. So what I'm going to do is just go back to guide, installation process, where is the home, use this to create a new one. So I'm just going to go to the same directory, the same place, clear the console, clear the terminal, npx expo latest. It's going to create a new project inside of this. But there's already a project inside of it, so I'm not going to create a new project. I'm only going to create a new one outside of it. I would say cd, so I'll say npx, paste this here, latest. I'm going to give it a name. I'll call it playground native temporary temp. I'll just call it temp. Uh, playground native temp, which is going to be the temporary folder that I want to create. So it's going to locate that, download all the stuff I need, download all the packages I need. I'll just replace the dependencies with, I'll just add the React Native theme dependencies to it, and some other stuff like the Babel core and other things I need. I'll just add them to it, and then we should be good to go. So a few more minutes before I round this up because we need to round up. And so once this is done, I will try running this. Once I get this, so if this doesn't work now, I'm going to end the end of the day. Maybe if this fails to work, max in the next up, and then I'll do a figure is the progress of what I've done so far. By then, I believe I should be using Radix on mobile by then. So that means the entire plan from using Radix for mobile will take 2 days. That's how much software development has become, and it's cool. But that is quirks, and it's yeah, but it's still cool. If AI can one-shot something like this for me, then I'm impressed. 100% impressed. All right, this is taking time to install. Oh, if I using npm for me. Oh no, don't do that. Don't do that. Just don't do that. Let's go to here and see if this is here already. There's native temp, right? So I will do the installation myself, constant hooks, blah, blah, blah. Of course, I don't need all of this. I don't need all of this stuff. The script, the hooks, constant, components, that I don't need. Assets, you know what I'll just do? I'll just call the reset project for this and then use the basic one. So I'll go to npx. Okay, you know what? I'm not going to do that. I'll leave it. I'm going to combine what I have here with what I have here. So I'm going to take this here, app.json. I'm going to leave it here. This is native playground. Okay, I'm going to copy this and replace this. Okay, so I'll leave the new one. I'll leave the new one from the previous one. There are still stuff I want there. Like the router is there. The fonts is in the previous one. So I'm going to copy the plugins and just update the plugins with this one. So it's just going to be update, update, copy and paste. Just making updates with stuffs. So yeah, I'm going to have this here. I'm going to have the scheme is defined with the scheme here. Playground native temp is going to be React Native Playground. I keep asking myself, why am I doing this? Why don't I just copy this stuff here and just use it? Auto identifier is okay. I'm going to do this. I've copied that already. The web is going to be bundler is metro, out bundler is metro, favicon icon, blah blah blah. Android at icon and iOS. Android div icon is this, package is this. I'm just trying to be fast by just making the changes that I need. You know, the name and the slug is going to be this because I want this name, not this name. So the scheme is also going to change because this is the scheme I want to use. All right, so I think everything looks similar now. The only difference is that this doesn't have the router because I'm not using the router here. So I'm just going to copy stuff that I need. So I'm going to close. All right, so I'm going to close the app.json. They are okay now. So I'm going to copy the metro. There's no metro here, so I'll copy metro and Babel. I'm going to just duplicate them here. Don't add yet. So I'm going to do the last thing, which is the git ignore file. Everything here is git ignored. I think there's a better git ignore here, more extensive. Yeah, so I'm going to leave the git ignore. I'm just going to add one more thing to it. Okay, which is fine at this point. One last thing. What's the last thing? TS-config works for this. TS-config for this also works. So the configuration is just tx, 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 tx. I'm using tx, so just plain tx. All right, so that's fine. Then last thing is I've copied Babel and Metro, app.json copied package.json. So I need this dependency here for package.json. I need it here because I'm using the Radix native theme just so that I can use that from there. Workspacing or namespacing it rather. So just for namespacing, and then I add the C here too because I want to clear it on every start. The next thing I want to have is I have expo router, blah blah blah, which I added, but it's not needed anymore. This one covers all of that. Okay, so that's all. What I want I need to do next is convert this back to the app. I'm going to rename this back to app.tsx. Yes, and move it out of where it was before, back to the root folder. It's going to come in handy eventually on its own. So yeah, so that's all I need for this. I'm going to close this. I don't need this anymore since I created a new package. Right, so I have this, so you can see it side by side. 6 minutes before I end this, so I'm trying to rush this up so I can finish this. And then the next thing I need to do is I'll rename this to the old since I'm no longer using it, and I'll rename it from temp to the actual native. The native that will be the old one. So one more. I've not even copied the app.tsx. Terrible stuff. And my native place it directly. Okay, I'm going to create a directory and call it right. It's going to be demo like this. Contain an index.tsx file. So the demo.tsx file is where to now become my app.tsx. This is about 800 lines of code, 836 lines of code. So there should not be any error still because all the import and the namespace has been totally perfectly handled. So everything should be good on this end. So what I'm going to do now is try restarting this 5 minutes more, see if I can get this done before then. npx expose start. And oh no, this will not work. I need to seed into the app playground native. What do you mean? Okay. CD playground. Come on. All right. So yes, fingers crossed, everything should work well. Oh my God, what do you mean it's not installed? Oh no, what is happening here? Okay, yes, it's not installed. PMPM, I need to install it. So sorry about that. I didn't do the NPM install. I have it in the previous one. I didn't have it in the new one. So, sheesh. All I needed to do was just PMPM install. All right. So that should be fine. Deploy to test flight for this. Deploy to your web app. Blah blah blah. Discover more. This, that. Very good stuff. Yeah. So I'll wait for this to be done. So once this is done installing, we can now test our demo app. And if it works fine, yes. Then it took 2 days to implement and actually to the React native implementation. And that I believe is a good thing to implement or work on. Whew, yeah. I think I'm sweating a bit here. All right, so that's basically what we are trying to implement here. If I'm not mistaken, waiting for the installation. I have 3 minutes. Please be fast. 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 Yeah, it's done. Okay, so npx expose start. Oh, indexing. It's indexing it. Indexing the new installation. npx expose start. What is it again? Can fail to resolve plugin from module expose secure store. I don't have it installed. Why did I have it on the app that you sent? Not. Let me check it. Why do I have it installed? I added it here, right? Expose secure store. Yeah, I did. Okay, if I'm going to go and edit it. So reference expose secure store. Why am I having secure store? It's not needed. Removing it. Expo router. Yes. Font. Yes. Oh, it worked. 2 minutes more. Let's see. So open the simulator. It works. Fingers crossed. Moment of truth. Oh no, it failed. I knew it was going to fail. I was really waiting for it to work. Well, it's understandable. The build is going to fail. Why? Because we need to fix it. We've not done so much on getting it to work yet. I'm not sure if that is it, but I think that is it. So, it says unable to resolve Expo Metro runtime, which is coming from the Metro config, if I'm not mistaken. Metro config, yeah, this one. So unable to resolve this. So well, I'm still going to give it back to the AI, but I'm not going to bore you with those things. I'm not going to bore you guys with that. So this is going to be where I end this video today. So obviously you guys have seen the progress. Created a project. You guys saw it. One shot the entire thing. Told it to create based on the plan we already created. So like I said, you need to have a proper planning first. If you don't have a good plan, AI doesn't know what to do with it. So the plan we created, the part one of this series, which was yesterday, was what we used. So I just gave it and said, okay, this is the plan I have. Can you implement this? And he went through it and he suggested, yes, I can. Okay, use this mode, use the orchestrator mode. And I said, yes. And that was all. And I waited for more than 35 minutes and it got everything done. Every single thing from scratch done. Okay, not from scratch because it was simply migrating a file to another one. But then it was migrating from web to mobile, and it takes a lot of effort to do that. And it was able to one shot it. So that's where I'm going to stop this episode today. So, like I said, if you're not subscribed, considering subscribing so that you can get update on what is being implemented and how it is going to go from here onward. So, yeah, that is it for today, guys. Thank you so much for watching. Uh, Catch you guys in the next one. Bye for now. Sister,